America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
There you are. We're going to do the pre-search and then we're going to get to us.
Okay.
Okay, folks, tonight we have the pleasure of having a cop transferred to this department, not a police officer. Now you may say, what's the difference? Well, I can tell you the difference. A police officer is just a civilian with training. A cop is somebody who's been there, done the job. I used to tell that to the kids in the academy, and I didn't teach the academy that much, but I would say, congratulations, you're all police officers, but you're not cops. They didn't catch on until they got in their first incident, and then they learned what it was like to be a cop. Bobby Reynolds Jr. is transferring over from the village of Walden. He's a cop. I've seen him in action. I saw him in action yesterday when my wife and I were walking, and a bicycle crashed into a car. I called the station. He responded. I told him what happened, and he responded crazy with his lights and sirens because I said there was really no injuries. He handled it perfectly, like a cop. Well, we have him coming here, and what we get when we get a cop, we don't have to pay for his academy. He already comes with it. He doesn't have to ride with somebody and learn how to be a cop. He's already been a cop part-time here. When you hire a police officer, you've got to do the academy. Then he's got to ride with somebody. It's about a year and a half before we actually see the results. This guy's walking in the door as a cop, and we're fortunate enough to have a cop transfer to this department. And the big thing is retention. Retention. He's going to stay here. In the city of Newburgh, we were losing them like this. They would just stop, get the academy, and take off. We are getting a good deal here. So, with that, Bobby, make a motion to hire cop Robert Reynolds.
We have a resolution.
Okay.
The resolution is to appoint Robert Reynolds Jr. As a full-time police officer in the village of Montgomery, effective immediately pursuant to all the guidelines in the collective bargaining agreement between the village and the village of Montgomery PD.
Thank you. Make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, now, or- Bob, Cindy? Want to get pictures with her?
Board.
Who is swearing in? It's over here.
Go ahead. Start it. Oh, boy.
I, Robert Reynolds Jr., do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of my ability. That was not.
All right, second up, we have two fine full-time police officers here who volunteer a lot of their time to this agency. We need a sergeant. We negotiated with them, actually, they negotiated with us, with their chief. A sergeant makes 15% above a patrolman, by contract. These two patrolmen said they would do the sergeants, they would both be promoted to provisional sergeants at 7.5% instead of 15%. 7.5% they're getting, and we need sergeants. So with that, we have Chris Colvin back, who did an excellent job today at their graduation, and Jeff Blanford. I make a motion for that?
We have a resolution.
Resolution, we have a resolution.
You have it, Chris? Tina, do you read? Oh, the resolution to, oh, you got it, beautiful.
Whereas there exist vacant positions in the village of Montgomery for full-time provisional sergeants, and whereas Officer Jeffrey Blackford and Christopher Colvin fulfill the civil service requirements of knowledge, skills, and experience for the full-time provisional sergeant positions. Whereas the village of Montgomery has a need for full-time police sergeants for efficient and cost-effective functioning in the village of Montgomery. Whereas it is the opinion of the Board of Trustees that the aforesaid persons are qualified to fill said positions. Resolved that Board of Trustees of the Village of Montgomery hereby appoint Officers Jeffrey Blackford and Christopher Colvin to the position of full-time provisional sergeants to serve in the capacity at the Village of Montgomery Police Department in accordance with the applicable collective bargaining agreement effective as of today, March 20th, 2025, provided that all appropriate documents is submitted and accepted by the Orange County Department of Human Resource Civil Service Department, and is further resolved that appointments are provisional and subject to said appointees take the next civil service police sergeant's examination and obtain a score that qualifies them to be hired as full-time sergeants for the village. Now, the next thing I would say, because I do not think village boards or politics should be involved in this. I ask right in front of the public here, Chief, are you okay with this?
100%.
Okay. Make a motion?
Make a motion. And second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Sergeant? You guys want to get sworn in right now? Chief?
That was my only question, provisional as far as.
No, it should be. Should be.
Yes. Yes, Chief.
I, Jeffrey Blackford, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of provisional sergeant according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sergeant Berkman.
Thank you. I, Christopher Colbach, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of provisional sergeant according to the best of my ability.
you okay with me going off script too real quick? I'm sorry, Jeff. If you guys are okay with me going off script too real quick, I got some of our. So we were due to order new patches anyway, and we had a couple of our guys work on a new design. And we do have new individualized patches for the Village of Montgomery Police. It's the first time that we have patches. It's the old patches, which is the state seal.
You're like kind of getting in the way of the camera.
It's got Village Hall, Ward's Bridge.
We got City Winery in there. Oh no, sorry, wrong tower.
Can we move people over? You can move people over. Nice job, guys. Yeah, you already gave us one. All right, moving along, folks. The next meeting will be at the Senior Center. Next meeting. Again, many residents, we want us all the time, are not in favor of moving meetings out of this building.
See that? Now you'll be legal in here too.
Yeah. All right, moving along. The next meeting will be at the Senior Center. Again, I hear this all the time. Many residents are not in favor of moving the meeting out of the village hall. So I have to move, I have to split the baby here when I can. I move them when I feel the need due to certain activities on the agenda. I'm happy to say we're getting cameras in the village hall using a grant obtained from the police department. We had 3 quotes from 3 very professional companies that were here, but this is free, and it covers every area of the building that I wanted to. Safety is number 1 here, and I'm responsible for their safety. So every place that I wanted cameras is going to be put in here free. Each employee will be able to see what's going on a little square of their screen on their computer. Moving on. Deputy Mayor Darlene Andolsik applied for a grant through County Legislator Ron Feller, and we got $4,999. We're getting handicap picnic tables at the park. If you recall, Deputy Mayor Andolsik applied and received a grant for around $3,000 a couple of months ago, and we got a handicapped children's swing out of it. So thank you, Darlene, and thank you, Ron Feller. We applied for and received a $44,000 grant for a new air conditioning unit at the Senior Center that I've been waiting for. Well, we have it. Also, this was brought up by a village resident. In the event of a power outage, we should have a list of people who require electricity for their life, for their machines. And I'm going to talk with the PD and see if we can get that list and just do a wellness check on them. If you recall, at the last meeting, I put a stop at all activities on Weaver Street at the KSH property until they paid their owed bills from over 4 years ago, totaling $57,000. Well, they paid $62,000. We just got the check. $5,000 is going into escrow, and I thank them for that. However, I still want approval from the EPA on water table issues. I am not spending any more taxpayer money on this. I'm not doing light studies, noise studies, traffic studies. Nothing is getting paid for. They can fight it out with the state and their attorneys. We have paid enough on this. We homeowners, myself included, would never be entitled to this kind of attention. We're giving them attention for something we don't even know they have the authority to do. It's sort of like moving furniture in a house before you sign the lease. You get the EPA to give you permission to use that, and then we'll go from there. The potholes. I called New York State as a courtesy, told them what I'm doing, have the DPW fill them. Well, I said I didn't want to embarrass them. Well, I believe they're now patching them here. I'm going to continue to follow up on this, and Jake says he'll still continue to patch up what's needed. Myself, Deputy Mayor Darlene Andolsik, and Trustee Picarella attended the DARE graduation today, this afternoon, at Montgomery Elementary School. There was 93 kids graduated. P.O. Kovenbach was the instructor. Nice job, Chris. You still here? I am proud of him. Also in attendance was retired village police officer who did DARE classes for years, Jack Smith. All right, a caboose update. We're hoping for the rails and the tracks to be delivered for free. Myself, Brian Fitzpatrick, and Mark Devitt are hoping to remodel the inside to this caboose that my wife purchased for $1. We're going to rent it out for kids' parties, meetings. Inside the caboose will be village business menus, and if you go to these places, they Chambers of Commerce or something, they have those racks with all the different little places to go there on that. We will have that in there. We are not going to have an oven or anything like that. They will have to come in with their own pizza, whatever they do. It'll enhance purchasing stuff in the village here. So now, going along with what I started on our commercials for businesses in this village. Woods Bridge is offering an Easter Sunday brunch buffet on Easter Sunday from 11 to 3. Stop in and call for reservations. Montgomery Book Exchange is hosting Philosophy Book Club on Fridays, every Friday, from 6 to 7 at 84 Clinton Street. Free of all ages. Welcome. Montgomery Book Exchange is hosting a presentation on archaeology with guest speaker Ed Lendick. Saturday, March 29th at 2 p.m. Same place, 84 Clinton. All ages welcome, free. 10% off. 10% off all sales donated to the Montgomery Book Free Library. PBF Cafe is hosting the Orange County Silent Book Club with the Montgomery Book Exchange and Blue Fox Books. PBF, 94 Clinton Street, March 27th, 6:30 p.m. Free, all ages welcome. Iron Cafe this weekend, before St. Patrick's Day. Try a shamrock shake and corned beef sandwich. Iron Cafe would like to thank the village for all their continued support throughout the years. I end my report with, I thank Kevin Canero, Trustee Kevin Canero, and Trustee Randy Bilbo for all their hard work and dedication to this village throughout the years. Not on this board, but all the boards they served on, all the work they've done. This job I see as a mayor is about 60 hours a week, and I know, I ran for it, and I know that. And these guys did a lot of it volunteering, and I salute you, and I thank you, and I know you both told me if I need anything, just contact you, and that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
We have City Winery representatives here to discuss proposed changes to the existing site plan. Now, let me touch on City Winery. They fulfilled their
I'm
obligation.
going to excuse myself during this portion, and Mr. McKay, Steve. Mr. McKay will handle it.
City Winery has fulfilled its obligations with the village. Anything they owed, they squared up with us. And I appreciate that, I really do, because it's money we laid out. They have a new attorney, and I believe they're ready to work with us. And I believe it's a whole different thing. So, Joe McKay, our attorney, is here because we'll have a conflict. Thank you very much.
My name is Stephen Beckley. I'm from Winery. I represent City Winery. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I came out this a little relatively new to the project, but I know City Winery pretty well. Noah Bobrowski's with me today. He's the head of construction and development for City Winery. So prior to my engagement, they've been starting last January. I guess it filed in December. Last January, they started meeting with the planning board. There's some outstanding issues. I think we've made a lot of progress on those issues. We've given you, it should be in your packet, but I have copies of everything. We had our engineers update our sound study as well as the traffic study. And at this point, what we'd like to do is move the process forward into amending the PDD and then moving back to the planning board to get the site plan, basically amended site plan that also correctly reflects exactly what was built there, and obviously will comply with any further conditions of the planning board. And see.
Thank you.
So by way of background, this is a legislative act for this board. The PDD is a special zone. And City Winery was here a number of years ago. They got an approval. They've had some amendments over the years. This is a special process under the village code. They'll come to you. This board will act as lead agency for secret purposes. And this board is the one that ultimately determines what the final approval will be as far as a local law. Whatever you decide gets put in the form of a local law and approved by the board. There's an interim step when tonight we'll talk about being lead agency, we'll talk about making referrals to Orange County and other necessary agencies or boards. We'll talk about at what point this matter gets referred to the planning board for comments. Once we get comments from the planning board, this board will hold a public hearing on the approval of the PDD. Once this board approves it, it then gets referred back to the planning board for final site plan approval, consistent with what this board determines. So there's some back and forth, but as Mr. Begliante said, the winery has been meeting with the planning board for a long time, going over, I'll say, conforming to the original approvals and making some requests for modifications. So they've vetted a lot of these issues already with the planning board. So we would believe that once this board is comfortable, once you formally refer it to the planning board, almost all the items will have already been addressed. So there's a little back and forth, but again, for tonight's purposes, we're going to talk about whether this board is ready to designate itself as lead agency for the process, the project, and undertake secret review, make some referrals. And also, one other thing that the board needs to do, I had spoken to Mr. Begliante some time ago, spoke with the mayor, they have concurrent with their escrows. Under the PDD law, this board is allowed to set an escrow. So I would suggest, and I mentioned the number to Mr. Begliante, this board should set an escrow amount, some minimum amount that the winery would keep in escrow towards the payment of fees. The board can discuss that. For sake of discussion, I had mentioned a number of $2,500. Anytime the amount goes below $2,500, the winery would then replenish it to a $2,500 escrow amount.
Well, can we make it 5? Because the KSH put 5.
We're pretty far along the process, so I would ask the board to consider 2,500, but the understanding that if it falls below 1,000, we'll bring it up to 2,500 at each time. We're not going anywhere. We're
I don't have a problem with that, but, and I have a question for you too, before I forget. It goes back to the planning board gives site plan approval. Does it come back here?
Not the last time.
Okay,
no.
good. All right. So,
That's enough.
yeah, it is. The thing is though, our engineering fees and any other fees that we might incur might be more than $2,500. I know I sign purchase orders, Salon and Tully, for $3,500 sometimes. Not just saying it's all review fees for you guys, but, and then the attorney fees too. So I'm concerned that $2,500 might not be enough.
I'd be happy with 5,000.
I mean, if you don't use it, you get it back.
Look, it's an operation of the board. That's what the board determines. That's what our client will have to live with. I think. I'll defer to the board. We're looking to resolve problems tonight, so we're not going to argue on that amount for escrow.
What do I do? Ask the board?
Yeah, why don't we
I
just
think the
motion
motion to City Winery give $5,000 and $2,500.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All in favor?
I mean, well, now it's for discussion, so, I have a couple of questions, general questions about escrow. One is that, do we have to do anything as a board legislatively to create the ability to?
No, not for the PDD.
Okay.
In the PDD local law, there's a provision that allows the board to set escrow. It's
Okay.
different, it's
For
just
everything
unique,
else?
it's unique to the PDD.
Okay, so all other escrow questions I'll put aside for another day. Is there any general practice or common practice for basing the escrow on the size of the project or the scope of the project or any of that, or it's just at the discretion of the board?
It's at the discretion of the board. And I don't have a particular knowledge of what one town does or the village does. It's really just, as you say, it depends on the scope of the project. And
So we've been in
discretion of
this
the
process for about a year. I don't think we've received any singular bill that's been more than $1,500. And that includes Lincoln Tully, that includes attorney fees.
Well,
I mean,
the
look-
thing about it is you're hesitant on giving us an extra $2,500.
No, not hesitant,
We just settled with you guys, and, you know, in good faith, I feel happy with the $5,000 coupled along with.
If that moves the needle for you,
That's
no
fine. That's
problem.
fine.
$5,000.
So it was a motion, right? Second?
Sure.
In the
Would you
future,
call for the
can
vote?
in the future, ahead of time, can we consult with the planning board about what their opinion would be? Since-
I didn't hear you.
In the future, can we make a note that we'll consult with the planning board ahead of time when we're setting an escrow so that they can have input in it as well, and so we're not just arbitrarily setting in an amount?
Well, I think what we're doing is just covering ourselves, that's all we're doing.
I don't disagree, I'm just talking about the
Yeah,
future.
I don't think it's arbitrary though, because we signed the purchase orders, we know
It's
what it costs.
one escrow account between both boards.
Just to be clear, it is for both the planning and zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's fine.
and to give you just a little bit of comfort, I'm not arguing the amount at all.
Yeah.
Just to remind the board, really nothing new other than a platform will be built. So that, this is all change of existing buildings.
Maybe I didn't catch you, said that $2,500 would be divided by both boards?
It would be for any of the costs of both boards.
Oh, so $5,000 would be a cost of both boards?
Well, we're providing a $5,000 escrow to the village of Montgomery. I believe you share the consultants with the planning board. We cover whatever consultant fees we're actually incurred.
That'll work out, Mike, because you got, we're not gonna be, there's very limited action here on the village board, it'll all be on planning board.
It's really not split. It's really, we're
It's just that
placing
it's out of the same
$5,000.
pot.
Right.
I'll let you
Just have the
know.
upper hand.
I'll be the consultant to both.
You're the
boards.
mayor, you always know that, Brad.
I'm also the taxpayer too. All right, thank you. We good on that, all in favor?
Yeah, aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
We need lead agency status now?
Yeah, so I don't know, I wasn't at, I know I wasn't at the last meeting, I don't know if the board wants to hear from the applicant, kind of the summary of the project, or if the board's ready to move forward at this point, and just, I had prepared a draft resolution that would designate this board as lead agency for secret purposes. I had circulated that.
But Joe, before we get into seeker, right, I think the board, where we last left it, had asked us to revise the noise study, revise the traffic study, and then at that time, make a decision if reopening seeker is really necessary. We submitted those documents 2 weeks ago, physically, digitally. If you read the reports, you'll see that both concluded that there is no impact with changing the use from hotel to event space. We had both engineers who previously did the studies look at the old studies compared to the new site plan, the amended site plan that's in front of both village and planning board. So I think it would be our preference, to keep this simple. We've been complying with the planning board's requests over the last year, amending a lot of the issues that we had on the site. And, we just want to wrap this up and renovate an existing building, really. So I think we should avoid seeker as a general process if we can.
Can't
No,
avoid
you
it.
can't.
It's not a
That's not-
PDD.
In all honesty, it's a change of local law, so it requires a secret determination.
Oh, you gotta try.
Can we ask Scott if you would have any outstanding, I got an email from Scott
Correct,
about some issues there.
so I looked through both the noise impact evaluation letter that was submitted and the traffic impact study that was submitted. In regards to the noise impact evaluation, I didn't really have any issues with it. Basically, the synopsis, the letter, I'll read to you guys. The evaluation letter provided by Colliers Engineer has noted that the projected increase in traffic as a result of proposed change in use will not double above what was previously evaluated, therefore increases in noise level are projected to be less than 3 dBA average or less. Other building-related noise levels have been previously evaluated based upon the proposed change in use or no anticipated significant impacts on noise levels in the area compared to the previous approval. Additionally, the Collier's engineer letter does note that the recommendation of page 7 of their original report that was prepared by Major Consulting, Major Consulting used to be Collier's, Major became Collier's, relative to any exterior speakers or exterior amplifying equipment should be restricted to comply with the village code. Specifically, it was stated, any exterior speakers or amplifying equipment should be restricted to limit use after 9 p.m. to comply with the Village of Montgomery code. Our office would recommend the board consider adding the above language to the updated PDD approval. Our office finds the noise impact letter, evaluation letter to be sufficient. And then as far as traffic, we provided an update to the traffic. The conclusion of the report was that there was no anticipated impact to traffic. But my comparison to the previously prepared report has noted that they have not provided all information that was provided in the previous report, specifically Sunday PM peak hour and Sunday PM event exit peak hour, which were studied in the original report, was not provided. And they made a couple of assumptions that I'm looking for some clarification on. Specifically, they had a 20% decrease in entry hour was used based upon recent DOT counts that indicated that was a valid reason for the 20% reduction. I would just like to see some supporting information for that. I don't necessarily have a problem with it as long as there's supporting information. Another item was they have noted that the maximum attendees of the outdoor amphitheater was 500 attendees. And my question was, how was the maximum number of attendees determined? I think that would be something.
Yeah. So these are generally ticketed, this is a ticketed event, so they're limited in the amount of tickets they sell, and realistically, they control their site. They're also a state liquor authority licensed site, so they have to control any premises there, so it would be limited by ticket sales.
And anecdotally, because we've been so restricted on that site on what we can do, we are no longer having summer concerts this season. So last year, if you remember, we had a summer series where we partnered with local charities. For every concert we had, we picked a charity for the ticket sales to go towards. And it just, doesn't work. We don't get the numbers that justify it. So I say that as an example of, these restrictions do harm our operations. And this year we won't be doing a summer concert series that benefits local charities. So
Because of the seating capacity you have now, or because
no, we have plenty of seating. Just the sound restrictions, the hours of operations. I mean, we can't play loud music after, I think, 5 p.m. on a Saturday, right? So, it's really not conducive to live entertainment.
It's kind of hard to do it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to sell tickets for live music in the early afternoon.
I'd like to just mention too that the original PDD specifically addressed some of the noise concerns of the residents. They came to a public hearing, they talked about the sound. They were concerned about the noise. The mayor, I wasn't on the board at that time, and you guys were on the board, all voted to have something that in the original PDD was like, I don't know why they put this in the type of music, but it was supposed to be a very low level, low energy type of event. It wasn't supposed to be a big event. And while I was on the planning board, I had read through the minutes, there's like a 200 person capacity. Now you're more than doubling that capacity. So if the traffic study that Scott, you're okay with that, with 500 people attending a concert on the exit?
I don't think that's my decision. I think that would
The
be
planning board?
planning board, village board.
So what did the traffic study did not take into consideration the 500 then?
No, it did.
It did.
It did. So the traffic study was based upon, they basically had two maximum event scenarios. So they had, it was either using both indoor event spaces with a total of 493 seats and limited use of the restaurant, indoor and outdoor wine bar, tasting room, and cafe to approximately 50 guests, or use of the outdoor amphitheater, total of 500 attendees, and limited use of the restaurant, indoor, outdoor wine bar, tasting room, and cafe to approximately 50 guests. And then the assumption would be that there'd be some ability to stay, use all the uses if needed, and stay under the 551 attendees that they really did the traffic study for. So they did the traffic study for what they are projecting as their maximum attendees, so, yes.
All right.
It's also, and the site's built that way, I mean, it's not built to
I think,
to accommodate more than that.
and again, I'm not, I want you guys to succeed, I want to see this thing go through. I like the idea of not having a hotel there and having the wine tasting room. I think you've done a great job. I think the place is beautiful. It's one of the nicest places in our village and probably the county. We want to see it happen. I'm always concerned about when people come out to a public hearing and talk about noise and talk about the impact on their lives from something that's built next to them. So,
Yeah,
that's
so
why.
I think that's a fair concern, and that's why, part of the process, we went to the chief of police, maybe 2 months ago. He wrote a report. There's never been a significant noise incident nor a traffic incident. He put that, no, sorry, I think the prior chief of police, sorry about that, prior chief of police.
A chief of police.
But, the reason I made that point is to show that, the decisions that are made by this board and the planning board have real tangible effects on our business. And unfortunately, we think it's a prime jewel of our portfolio. We want to continue to see it thrive, but, things are not easy.
And there was a summer concert series last year, and
We benefited 10 charities.
We heard from the police department that, there were significant complaints, so
Well,
it's something we would like to probably revisit the time and, the police timing. And maybe we can bring it back.
And I know you just promoted a few police officers, but a big part of our security staff for these large events is off-duty police officers who love the extra job opportunity.
Nice try.
No, that's a real thing. That's who we are. There's no try there.
The other thing that the village board did too, prior to, I being on the board, was they did extend the hours of operation there. They extended the days. It was only supposed to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We extended the village board extended it to 7 days, and they extended the hours of operation too. So are you seeking more hours of operation? Or is this?
Outdoor concerts just don't work till 5, if they're stopped at 5, right? So if the answer is that.
And we had a set of
complaints, maybe we, through a special use permit, perhaps for one season, if we could try it out. I mean, no one at the City Winery site wants to be bad neighbors in Montgomery. They've invested a lot of money, a lot of time. It's a beautiful facility, and they want to be good neighbors to Montgomery. The principal owner or the principal operator of City Winery lives in the area and has a lot invested in this area and wants to see it prosper. So again, if it's going to be an eyesore, we would understand. If it was going to be a nuisance due to sound, we would understand. We would at some point, we may ask the board to consider extending the hours, maybe on the weekends, for live music. And I think it might benefit, I wouldn't look at it as a nuisance as much as I think it might benefit Montgomery in bringing people in. Remember, every one of those trip generations we just talked about, those are people that are driving through Montgomery, and they're probably stopping it, and they could be buying gas, they could be, going to other restaurants, especially if there's outside. We're limiting, on any kind of event day, we're limiting it to 50 people. That means Wardsbridge Inn and several other restaurants are going to get the overflow benefit of people coming into City Winery. And that's a great thing. That's what we're here to do.
So what are the hours of operation are you seeking?
Do you have the amendment? Yeah, Michael sent me. I think I just have to take it that way. We're looking at, the hours of operation. I have the hours of operation, Michael, hold on 1 second, because I don't think that's the outdoor.
Should we just submit it?
Are we going over
And that's part of the
specifics,
PDD
or are we
amendment?
just declaring lead agency tonight?
Well, the idea is to,
We can submit it in writing, so that, this way, I apologize, I do have the hours of operation, I don't have the outdoor, what we request for the outdoor, so we'll submit that in writing for the next meeting.
well, it's not the public hearing, but the idea then would be if the board has some general questions,
This is the time.
let's figure out what we need, so if the board's comfortable with going to the next step. That would be the purpose.
Yeah, and it really needs to be cleared up too for your benefit. the hours of operation, the days of the week.
I can give you the hours of operation of the facility, which are gonna be
Go back to that.
I think, Steve, maybe what we should do is, there've been a couple of approvals over time, a couple of amendments.
the.
So why don't we just do a baseline of what the original hours are with the PDD? And we know there's a no response.
Yep.
And then what you're proposing, and then the board will have it clearly in front of them, and they can make a determination.
We just bring this to the village code.
Okay. So essentially, right now, we're limited 1 to 5 on concert days, and those are on the weekends and holidays. What we'd look to do is bring that to what would be reasonable. I think the village code's till 9.
Yeah, in line with the
Evening
village
starts
code.
at 9 o'clock.
Evening starts at 9, correct?
Yeah,
So I guess that's probably the most practical request we would make, is for Saturdays, Sundays, holidays. If we were to have an outdoor music event, it would go till 9 o'clock. And
so
still,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I apologize, Friday, Saturday, weekend. And that would obviously, the sound decibel would be whatever the
Well, we-
village code is.
And we already agreed to a sound limitation on the site.
That's in the PDD, right?
Yeah,
Well, it's in the village code too.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we do, you can't exceed the noise.
Right.
As set forth.
Right.
Oh, you got, the board could just entertain the 9 o'clock, but then you could, when the public hearing comes, the residents will come out and speak about that.
Sure.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's excessive, but I don't live there. I don't live in that area, but I wouldn't, that's late. It was never supposed to be that way. That's why I'm saying, that, if you go back in time, what was approved, and you told all the people, before you know it, and you told all these people it's supposed to be a low impact type of project, and now it's turning into something bigger. And that always
I'm just
is a
saying, we're-
problem. And I understand you can do this under the PDD, you want to get it straightened out.
Yeah.
But if there's there's no issues with it, then maybe I'm off base.
it's
I would make
not,
the suggestion that we make the proposal,
yeah,
and let's hear from the public, and if there's some middle ground that comes out of that after the public hearing, or if there's no public opposition, we would ask you to consider that. If there's public opposition, we'll have an honest discussion. And
and,
hopefully, come to an agreement where the public can understand it and feel good about it, and it could be cost effective for us to continue.
So 9 PM, and what days?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, holiday.
and we're not looking to argue with the board, we're just saying, we've been operating now for 4 years, we tried our first summer concert series again with the benefit of local charities, and didn't work, so we're not doing it anymore. So we have to make it more financially feasible for us to bring that back, and we think expanding the hours would allow that. Yeah.
Well, before I represented them, I went to one of the concerts. I went to the Johnny Swim concert. And
And you were home by 4:30.
it was really a lot of fun, but it was not well attended. And
Yeah.
they're a band that I see throughout the country, and with.
Well, that's the big thing is the artists
Normally
don't want to
draw
come and
4,500
play,
people.
at 2 o'clock. Yeah. They just don't want to come.
Knitting factory number 2.
What's that?
Knitting factory number 2.
Oh, so no. I was at the knitting factory. This is not that.
Okay, so what are the next steps?
I would just check any other issues that come up.
Okay.
We want to be able to make the correct referrals.
Great.
So are you clear on what Scott's looking for from you?
Yeah, and honestly, if we could correspond right this way, I can make sure we get
Yeah.
specific responses to you from
Sure, as long as
our.
that's okay with the board.
Well,
And-
we're gonna place our escrow, so.
So then again, if we can just have a little summary, the original approvals, hours, et cetera. I know there's some specific line on it, not even about the type of events and type of music, so
I'll take a look at that and make that, we'll go back and forth on that.
Yeah.
this way it's clearly set forth for the board to consider. And the point is to do it now, because what I'd like to do is if the board is ready, we can refer this, we can send it to the county, we'll include that information and send it to the county
Okay.
for the 239M referral. One suggestion that I also have for the board, I'm not an engineer, I can't do math, that's why I went to law school, so with that being said, the question becomes, you have the Royal Amphitheater, right, and you're looking to have a new space. So the question becomes, how many events can you have at one time? What can the maximum occupancy be in one building, another building, all together? So what I'm going to suggest to the board, and there's also some technical issues about a fence and a retaining wall, I think we should get the building inspector's comments up front, rather than wait to the point where we get to the planning board. So I
Sure.
would suggest.
Can I just pause for 1 sec? We did go to the building inspector. We got the retaining wall that you referenced approved already.
Okay.
So the planning board is in receipt of that. Bruce had no further comments. The planning board checked with him. So
So when
he,
did you do that?
maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago.
Was the wall put up?
The wall was put up.
Okay.
It was verified by a structural engineer,
Okay.
and we pulled the building permit for it. So it's fully permitted.
That's good, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
still think, it should go to the building inspector, because I would like
Sure.
some information on occupancy. I just like the building inspector's comments. It's one of the largest projects, one of the largest venues.
makes sense.
in town.
Sure.
That would be my recommendation. My recommendation would be to refer it for 239M referral to Orange County. Let the applicant respond to
Can
Scott's
you just
comments.
clarify what a 239M referral is
Sure.
briefly, very briefly?
Yes, so under the state law, for this type of an application, which is truly, you're actually seeking in the end an amended site plan. Because they're within 500 feet of the neighboring municipality, and for several other reasons.
It's local law. And a local law.
Right. And it's a local law amendment, so if we're going to refer it to the Orange County Department of Planning. The Department of Planning will look at it and give us a determination as to whether or not it's strictly for local action or whether there's some intergovernmental or intermunicipal impacts. And we'll get those comments. The idea would be send the referrals out now, get the information back, and then you have the information, all the information in front of you, and you can schedule at some point in the future a public hearing.
Thank you.
And, okay, so then we just have to vote on the agency status tonight.
Right, so in this case, this board is going to be the lead agency for environmental review. I know that normally the planning board's the lead agency for these kinds of projects. Since this is a statute, since it's a statute, for secret purposes, it's similar to what you do very often for adopting local laws. Whenever this board adopts a local law, you'll see a short form EAF, you'll review it, you'll essentially issue a negative declaration, because most local laws don't have any adverse environmental impacts. So it's a similar process here. You have an application before you, you have a short form environmental assessment form before you. This is a relatively small project in the sense that they're taking what was originally approved as a 14-room hotel and which was never built out, and they're converting that. They're looking for a change of use. Instead of being authorized to build out that 14-room hotel, they're looking instead to build that out as an additional small event space, along with some other site improvements. So this board has to determine whether or not the improvements that they're seeking are going to have an adverse environmental impact. The first step is that this board designates itself to be the lead agency to review that issue. I'm not making a decision tonight. You're just saying that we've looked at this, it's subject to SEQR, we have to follow the SEQR protocols. This board's going to be the lead agency because you're the only board that has the ability to approve the action. And then the next step would be to wait for the applicant to bring back the information and to get the answers that we've asked, the information that we've asked for tonight. So if the board's comfortable, I would propose that I prepare a resolution that designates this board as lead agency for secret purposes. And there's a resolution there. You have it?
I thought I printed.
You want to read the resolution?
Yeah.
All right. So, resolution of the village board of the village of Montgomery establishing lead agency on City Winery's application to amend its planned development district application. Whereas the village board of the village of Montgomery has received an application from the City Winery Hudson Valley to amend its prior PDD, to permit it to amend its existing approved site plan. Whereas City Winery's application proposes to renovate an existing building on the property to be used as a studio, and hold additional events, remove its prior approval for that building that allowed a 14-room hotel. Its construct a wooden viewing platform for its outdoor event space, and to make related modifications and improvements associated with the renovation for the premises known as Section 204, Block 1, Lot 1 in the Village of Montgomery, located at 23 Factory Street. And whereas the applicant has filed, the village board has preliminarily reviewed the applicant's amended PDD application, its narrative, which was really the multiple letters that we received from the applicant, the short environmental assessment form, its proposed amended site plan, last revised October 9, 2004, and its updated sound and traffic studies. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that pursuant to, in accordance with the provisions of Part 617.6 of the regulations implementing the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, the village board determines that the proposed project is in action subject to SEQR. And it's further resolved that pursuant to 617 Part 6A1 of the regulations implementing SEQR, the village board hereby preliminarily classifies the aforementioned project as an unlisted action. It's further resolved that the village board hereby determines that it will be the lead agency with respect to the consideration, review, and determination of the significance of the aforementioned application, since there are no other agencies that have the authority to approve the project. And it's further resolved that copies of the complete application shall be referred to the Orange County Department of Planning, to the village planning board, to the village building department, and to such other agencies as the board may determine.
I'll make that a motion, but Joe, I think it's pretty conclusive.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion?
Aye.
Discussion, any discussion? Gary?
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
All in favor?
Thank you.
So, just so I don't want to miss anything, we're going to give you further information on the hours of operation for the outside events. We're going to coordinate with your engineer on traffic. There were some questions on traffic. And is there any other issues that you want to? No. We're past that.
Did you write that down?
Yeah,
5,000, okay. There were a couple of outstanding items. I don't think they were actually listed on Scott's technical comments, but there are some things I have in my notes from our prior meetings. There was, for instance, the truck access, I think had to be modified or relocated on the plan.
I think that's on the truck access as written, I believe, is on the updated plan from October.
It may be. So I'm just, this is more issue spotting than determining, right? I know the truck access was an issue. I think Scott indicated that the SWIP had to be updated.
Yeah, we still have Scott's letter thing from October that we owe him a response to.
The Army Corps rules.
That we got the Army Corps, and the planning board acknowledged that.
I don't think we have any issues.
We'll get a copy of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's in writing. You guys have it.
Okay, all right. And then my notes were capacity, the retaining wall, which you said that has been utilized. So that's what I had on my list. So it sounds like.
And we'll be seeking comments from.
And at some point, it may really be just a planning board condition when we get that far. I know that you were looking for a waiver of the top coat of the parking lot or a portion of the parking lot. So that's something I'd like this board to weigh in on ultimately, even though it may become a final site plan issue later on. It's something I want to get comments from this board on.
Sure.
Right now, there exists a binder code. It has not been an issue. It's been maintained.
Held up great.
And we'll be seeking comments from building inspector, planning board, and the county now. We have everything in theory all at once to review. And public comment.
The slight caveat is that, yes, we can send what we have, and essentially the planning board already has what we have. So yes, we can refer it to the planning board. But what I would like to do is get the responses so that when it goes to the planning board, they have all the up-to-date information. And then the planning board gives you comments, And then we have the public hearing.
Okay.
And as far as the PDD amendments, we're gonna deliver a red line version to you guys.
That would
Yes.
be very helpful.
Yeah, we can do that.
And are we able to run in any scenario concurrently with the planning board to pick up on that work? Or
Well, no, because statutorily it has to be.
it has to be referred
Yeah.
formally.
But we're trying to streamline, that's why part of the reason we had this back and forth today with the actual concerns, because we wanted to be able to get a full package over to the planning board prior to the next appearance here.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Good
it.
night.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Joe.
Sure. And then we have the one resolution for the HVAC.
You did that too.
That's from it.
Okay, next up,
Remember this bill?
approve proposal for the MVP consultant for the CDBG grant to replace the HVAC at the Montgomery Senior Center. Any discussion on this? Joe, you want to fill us in on anything?
No, I mean, basically, it's just
Like we discussed
to
before.
get plans prepared so that Scott can send out some bids when the board gets to that. The proposal was for $3,400. I have no legal objection to it. Will had prepared a resolution that accepted the proposal, authorized the mayor to sign it, and any other documents that may be required, subject to my final review and approval. Yes. You want to read that one?
All right.
Okay.
All right, make a motion.
Well, basically, yes.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Adopt a resolution to approve.
We're gonna wait for Joe to leave.
Thank you, Joe.
Not everyone, thank you.
Good night, Joe. Thank you.
Good night.
We got a little leave.
Adopt a resolution to approve the Little League contract. Make a motion.
What's that?
Little League contract, make a motion. Adopt the contract.
Yeah, I prepared a resolution for that. I circulated the agreement yesterday. If anybody has it, it's subject to attorney approval, so if anybody has any questions or comments, we can talk about them. Anybody can raise a question now, or anybody wants to call me about it, I'll be around for time tomorrow.
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Have Little League seen it yet, and are they aware they're being presented with a contract?
Whether they're aware of it, I don't know. I was asked to prepare a contract. I don't know if it's been sent to them yet, but we can certainly, do we know if they have it yet?
No,
Okay.
they don't have it yet.
Okay, so we can authorize in advance if they have any issues. I can always bring them back to the board to make changes.
Yeah, seeing as the opening day is in about a month, I'd like to get it to them and make sure we're communicating and get
Sure.
taken care of and not hitting any snags. There was like, just adding to a dollar amount, Article 2, clarifying the camp statement in Article 3.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Just a couple of notes and questions. Add the word dollar in Article 2, it says 1, and the amount of no dollar, just a little. But the, clarifying the statement about camp in the Article 3 was about usage, something about.
The rec center.
Yeah.
One of the conditions is if there's stuff going on in the rec center, the Little League will not have use of that facility during any camp things.
and it was about notifying us, I think I just misunderstood the wording, I just wanted you to clarify. It was about if they need to get advance permission to operate any tournaments or camps or scrimmages or anything like that. I wasn't clear if they currently do operate those and don't give us notice. I just want to make sure we're like.
I don't know what the
They
current,
do operate them, but we don't usually get notice, so we don't know. And other things are going on, and we don't know that Little League is going on, so we want
So
to
we're
be very
asking them
clear.
for notice
Right.
ahead of time.
We want to
So-
be clear when they're there.
I mean, the normal Little League schedule will have, but, you know, whether they're gonna be running all-star, you know, when I say tournaments, there's the all-stars, then there's also travel ball tournaments and those types of things. So the village really needs to know that because they are obviously village fields. So that's why I put that in there.
Okay.
I modeled it after one I've seen in other places, so we can make changes to it, you know, I'm sure they may have a few comments, and certainly, we do get their insurance now, but I put in, obviously in the agreement, I put in the indemnification and insurance provisions.
Yeah. In the section 603, there's something about how they're supposed to instruct they're not supposed to discourage any players from playing any other sports. I totally get that, but I feel like part of that is maybe we need to have a side discussion about what their requirements are of their players, because I do know from my own experience with my kids is that travel is an issue. Travel ball is an issue if they're not getting enough kids to show up. So I don't want somebody to be held to the standard that they're discouraging kids from playing other things, and then we revoke a contract because they're requiring the ball players to be there for a certain amount of practices, not just show up and play when they want. The travel conflicts a lot, and it's sometimes an issue. They have to forfeit games sometimes because they don't have enough players. I just feel like that's an internal issue, not something that we should be governing.
Well, the idea being that, listen, I coached and my son played travel on Little League, and it is a conflict. We can speak to them about it, see what their attitude is on that section of the contract, but the idea is for them to have use of the fields, okay? And nobody, trust me, nobody loves Little League and baseball more than I do. I coached it forever, and I just, part of the issue for public fields is to encourage public participation, and encourage as much participation as possible, especially the Little League, because everyone gets to play. Travel balls, we all know, is a different situation. You don't have minimum playing time in travel ball, you know, the best kids are going to play. Little League, and under Little League national rules, okay, kids have minimum playing time they have to play, and that's sort of what I'm getting at there. If the Little League has a problem with that provision, like any provision in this contract, we'll certainly address it with them, but let's see where it goes first.
Okay, I just have two more. Section 7, there's some language in there about their maintaining, care, and replacement of the items, including refrigerators and that kind of equipment in the kitchen and in the concession stand. It's either our equipment or it's not. I understand if they break something, then they have to replace it. Okay, that wasn't super clear in language to me when I read it.
Okay.
They're responsible for it.
Obviously, we're not requiring to buy new equipment, but they're essentially going to have the exclusive use of it during baseball season.
Right.
If something goes on it
They have to fix
that's not,
right.
you know, for lack of a better term, ordinary and reasonable wear and tear, you know, if somebody slams the door too hard and the handle falls off, they're fixing it.
Okay, also in section 7 there was some issues last year with confusion about who had to get a Department of Health approval, did it need one, did it have one? Is that all addressed and are we clear on what we have to do
We
with
have
that?
a list, yeah.
Yes, and the vendor that was subcontracted out was who had to get it, I believe,
Yes.
last year.
Yes.
So that's their problem, not on the village, they're responsible for all that, the village does not have to do anything about that.
Unless we're operating the thing outside of baseball season, which I haven't seen happen, but
Okay.
for now, and if they do get a subcontractor, we obviously need to know about that and get a copy of the license. But again, we wanted to try and get this thing early so we're not bumping up on the start of the season.
Yeah.
The travel teams and stuff, are they guaranteed a certain field that they can move around?
Well, if they want to run travel tournaments and so on, they really should get authority from the village on a case-by-case
No, but
basis.
we have a bunch of fields down there.
No, they can assign the fields. If we're giving them use of fields 3, 6, and 7, or whatever, however they're designated, they can do that internally on tournament day. They're gonna come in and say, we wanna use these 4 fields. You know, if the village is okay with that tournament, say, fine, go ahead, and then they schedule it. Just like they do during Little League season. You know, these 2 teams are playing over here, and these 2 teams are playing over here.
Okay, thank you.
So I have every confidence if they have any issues with the contract that they think are unreasonable, we'll certainly deal with them.
Thank you. So we'll go back to make a motion to approve this.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Approve the food truck festival at Veterans Park on Saturday, June 21st, 2025. Make a motion?
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Hold on. What time, does it have an end time?
They don't have fireworks, and as soon as they're over, it's done.
Thank you.
Opposed? Carried. Consider changing the April 15th, 2025 meeting to April 22nd, 2025 at 7 PM for a work session.
Can you clarify what you mean by that? Are we canceling the April 15th meeting altogether, or is that going to be a work session?
I'm just changing
We're
it.
changing the meeting with the work session prior to the meeting to April 22nd.
So there's nothing on April 15th.
Right.
We're having a 7 PM work session on April 22nd.
Right.
Changing the whole meeting,
The whole thing.
I got the work session is still at 7.
Keep in mind, the budget will need to be adopted prior to May 1, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like we need to add a work session prior to the April 1st meeting. I think April 22nd is too late for a work session, in my opinion.
We're going to go over the budget at the April 1st meeting.
In its entirety,
In its entirety, at the first meeting.
will that allow for enough time for the new trustees to go over it at that meeting? I guess
Yes,
that's
then
what
they
I'm
have until the
asking.
22nd,
Sure.
after that meeting. They'll have meetings with the treasurer in the meantime, and the department heads.
They'll meet with each one of them individually. We done? All right. Make a motion to consider changing the April 15th, 2025 meeting to April 22nd, 2025 at 7 PM for a work session.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm staying.
Abstain.
Carried.
And I'll prepare a notice.
Thank you.
Schedule a public hearing for introductory local law 1 of 2025 to override the tax cap levy limit established in general municipal law, section 3C, for fiscal year 2025-26. Make the motion.
Well, we have to schedule it.
What?
God's spoken.
You have a local law filing here.
Yeah, this is the schedule of a public hearing. As we've discussed in the past, will somebody second this for discussion, please?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, as we've done in the past, the board has, excuse me, considered the adoption of a local law overriding the tax cap. Doesn't mean you're going to, but you need to have, if the board chooses, it needs to have the option to override the tax cap. That has to be adopted prior to the adoption of the budget. It's a tool to have, it doesn't mean, I don't know, I haven't seen the proposed budget yet, I don't know if it's going over the tax cap or not, as presented right now. But,
Getting in trouble.
I've got a bad voice, and I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Sorry. No, it's not my bad. At any rate, the local law would need to be in place prior to the ultimate adoption of the budget. So that's why we're suggesting scheduling the public hearing for the first meeting in April, and then having the public hearing on that, the April meeting adopting that law, and then you can go ahead and do what you need to do with the budget.
Okay.
So that would be April, what's the first meeting, April 2nd? Yeah.
Did the local law.
Right,
and
do
then
the
we
local,
went into-
I think that's how, yeah.
Did the local law.
Right,
and
do
then
the
we
local,
went into-
I think that's how I prepared the notes, that's right, 6:30 for the local law, 6:31 for the budget public hearing, on April 1st.
Yeah.
So I think you have a motion and a second for the local law public hearing, you just need to vote.
Make a motion?
All in favor?
You-
We got
All
the
in favor?
motion.
Aye.
All right,
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm
Carol.
sorry, who made the original motion?
I seconded it.
I believe the deputy mayor
I think
did,
I-
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
and trustee Picarello second.
Yeah.
Then you need to do the public hearing, schedule the public hearing for the tentative budget.
Yeah.
Okay, schedule a public hearing for the tentative budget.
The same is-
April 1st at 6:31, immediately following the public hearing on the tax cap override.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, abstained.
Understand.
Consider, we're good? Consider renewing the unsolved code red services contract. From 4,000, the old one was $4,308.81, the new one, $4,524.25. Make a motion?
You have a resolution on this?
What are the parameters of this?
Hold on, we need,
Go ahead.
somebody make a motion.
I'll make a mo,
And then
I'll second it.
For discussion.
What are the parameters of code red? I see that it's unlimited, and what is the difference between code red, like the I forgot the name, on source, whatever it is, the code red and the county-wide system that exists?
Well, we have two code reds.
So phone calls that go out, correct? I mean, to my understanding, the cover system is used in emergency situations, or
There's two of them. There's a code red for emergency situations, one for local information, they break it up.
yeah, I'm not familiar with
Are
the.
both of these on there, right? Code red and the,
Basically, what we were showing, it was divided, and you have the right to go on and sign up for which one you want.
So listed on this invoice is the code red standard renewal and code red foreign language message translation. There's no distinguishing between the two.
You on your computer, and you can sign up for which one you want. You want the emergencies, or you want the general information,
So this
or both.
total amount is for both.
Mhm.
And is there anywhere that we can see that itemized? The amounts, is it split 50/50? Is one more expensive than the other?
One step fee, and police, DPW will have access to it as well, not just lights.
Right, but that's what I asked. I asked if
That's
it
the
was-
contract they send, they don't do a breakdown.
So who saw an itemized, broken down between the two emergency and non-emergency amounts, is what I'm asking, and where can I see that?
I don't think there's a difference, because when you call in, you either say you want to make it an emergency, or you want to do it general.
so it's like a package deal, you pay 40, whatever this cost is, you get code red and the other informational.
So there isn't an itemized bill somewhere or a
Probably
quote
not.
that with the two amounts?
Makes sense, so I mean, they send one contract.
That's all they send.
It's like one contract for cable, not for each individual
Right, but that's not
channel.
what you just said. So this is the price for emergency and non-emergency? Okay. And no one knows anything about the county system that exists, and what the pricing is on that, or if it's more beneficial to use that?
And does the county have one, or do you know?
Good.
Okay, I'll look into it for next year.
I mean, it's that thing that goes across the TV, when you watch the TV, it goes on, makes the noise and broadcast stuff. I don't know.
We just got a call for a vote.
Need a vote,
All right, then, make a motion.
No.
motion's made,
Okay.
just need a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consider approving the mileage rate to increase to 70 cents a mile.
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Considering hiring Michael Aronson to Department of Public Works as laborer B, salary according to DPW contract, pending a background check.
This is,
did background check.
Is it
We
background
did,
check?
yeah.
It has all that.
Okay, Joe?
you need an effective date.
Effective Monday, whatever the date Monday is.
We never replace anybody when jail.
Okay, I figured, I just didn't know, and I didn't have time.
I didn't hear the question.
I
just wanted to
wasn't
fit-
clear.
A new position or if we're just replacing.
I assumed, but I didn't have time to call you today.
We never replaced anybody when Buddy moved, when Buddy left and everybody moved up and stuff. So basically all we're doing is just refilling an empty spot that we've had for a while.
And it's effective Monday, the 24th, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And background check is done.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Adopt a resolution approving the intermunicipal agreement and IMA for the 2025 stop DWI enforcement patrols, which begins March 10th, 2025 through June 1st, 2025. Make a motion?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can you just give a very like succinct overview of what this is? 'Cause
This is basically just giving me approval to be able to use the DWI funds that they're giving us.
Okay, that's all I need, thank you.
for the-
$1,000.
1,000, which is 1,000 for the first,
First,
period.
Okay,
yeah, these come periodically through the year, and the first installment contract with the county is $1,000. They have these out all over, pretty much every police department in the county.
thank you.
No, we got it.
I'll take it.
Okay.
We got these three bids here.
All the bids.
I'm sorry. Oh, make a motion?
So we did, we voted on it.
Did we vote?
Kevin, I ordered it and Dan.
Yeah, the second?
Kevin did it and I seconded it.
We didn't do.
I think you're voting.
You did.
Okay.
You got it? All right. And then the last one's
Just the
consider
Last one.
the radar units.
Consider three bids for a radar unit from the LE Tech Grant for Police Academy. Chief, you want to explain anything on that, or?
Sure, our radar systems are getting up there in age, technology moves pretty quick now. We do have the LE Tech grant, which we can buy new radars. No reason to not upgrade while we have the money.
Thank you for that explanation. A motion to,
Chief, you want to just I'm sorry.
I do.
You have three bids here, three quotes from Custom Signals, Stalker, and MPH Industries, all of which are under $20,000. I believe, words in your mouth here, but when we spoke earlier, it was your recommendation that the Custom Signals Inc. bid be accepted by,
Yes.
quote, be accepted by the village board. That's the one for $17,039.76.
Yes, the only stipulation with that one is, I would add $100 to that for cases for them, because we do take them up to DCS to get certified every year, and it's better carrying a carrying case than a cardboard box, which we're spending $17,000 on.
And Chief, could you also just describe to the board what installation costs, if any, would be associated with this, so they know what it is?
Yeah, so the installation, we would go through EDS, which it would cost $100 per radar to put into the cars. That's something we would
So it'd be like $600?
yeah, like $600 or so to put in.
$17,800 about.
Yeah. So I guess you need a motion.
okay, make a motion.
To approve the, accepting the proposal from Custom Signals Inc. for
I'll make that motion.
Yep, 17,000 roughly plus installation to bring the whole thing up to 17,800.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Carried.
That's just the public hearing notices that were sent to Tina so she can fill it in.
Nobody? You good? All right, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Have a safe trip home, folks.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.